Hi, this is Daryl Myatt from Keller, Texas. Today is Thursday, February 17th, 2011. Well, the Middle East is just in chaos, it seems, right now, and it's almost amazing to be watching because it's almost like it's right out of the Bible. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going on. This first story out of cnsnews.com. Headline says, "Prepare to invade Israel." Hezbollah leader tells his followers. This out of Beirut today. Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, told his Shiite guerrilla group Wednesday to be prepared to invade northern Israel a day after Israel's defense minister warned that the quiet along the tense border could erupt into violence. Boy, how correct he was. The comments by the two sides illustrate the fragile situation along the frontier since Israel and Hezbollah fought a bitter 6-week war in the summer of 2006. The war ended in a UN-brokered truce, but officials on both sides of the border believe it's only a matter of time before hostilities resume. "I tell the holy warriors of the Islamic resistance to be ready for a day when, if war is imposed on us, your command might ask you to control the Galilee area," Hezbollah leader Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah said in a televised speech Wednesday night. The Galilee refers to land in northern Israel. So, prepare for war. Here Hezbollah has this huge group of militants in southern Lebanon lined up against Israel. We've got Hamas in the south. We've got enemies to the east. We've got Iran sending warships in the Mediterranean to the west. I tell you, I see this Psalm 83 war happening pretty soon. I mean, all the events are unfolding. Egypt and Jordan were the last two dominoes to fall. I mean, Egypt and Jordan are mentioned in the Psalm 83 war. You can go back through there and check and see, go to a Strong's Concordance and see which nations these refer to today. Egypt and Jordan are two of them. Well, they were the last two, and the only two, in fact, that had a peace agreement with Israel. And now that both of those administrations are gone, Egypt has said, we will no longer acknowledge this peace agreement with Israel. In fact, we will not have peace with them. And Jordan, their new prime minister, said, Israel's the enemy, and we will be at war with them. So here we go. It's all falling into place right now. So I think we need now more than ever to pray for Israel, pray for peace in Jerusalem, pray for people to come to accept the truth of Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, because one day every knee will bow to Him and everyone will know He is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But until that time, these people that refuse to believe are simply lost, and they need our prayer. Here's something out of foreignpolicy.com. It says, in a sharp reversal, U.S. agrees to rebuke Israel in Security Council. Well, there's a big shock. The U.S. informed Arab governments that it will support a UN Security Council statement reaffirming that the 15-nation body does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlement activity, a move aimed at avoiding the prospect of having to veto a stronger Palestinian resolution calling the settlements illegal. But the Palestinians rejected the American offer following a meeting late Wednesday of Arab representatives and said it is planning to press for a vote on its resolution on Friday, tomorrow, according to officials familiar with the issue. The decision to reject the American offer raised the prospect that the Obama administration will cast its first ever veto in the UN Security Council. So we're seeing good old Obama stepping away from Israel, not backing them so much as we have in the past. Not a good move. I know there's a lot of people out there, they say, oh, there's so many fake Jews in Israel. There's so many Ashkenazi Jews. There's so many of the ones from Revelation 2:9 and Revelation 3:9. They're not the real Jews. Well, you know what? The Bible's pretty clear that when Jesus comes back, He will reign from Jerusalem. Okay? He's going to touch down, His feet will touch down on Mount Olives, and the mountain will split in two. That part of the Bible, I guarantee you, is literal. Okay, a lot of people, it's funny how a lot of people will pick and choose which things are literal and which ones are actual or figurative. Um, but I guarantee you Christ will reign from Jerusalem. And we'll see a new Jerusalem coming out of heaven. And Christ will be the king, and everyone will know at that time that he truly is. Here's a story out of the Jerusalem Post. Turkey and Jordan strengthen ties and sign a nuclear agreement. Turkey and Jordan. Jordan says its peaceful nuclear program, supported by the U.S., is imperative for electricity generation, exploring other alternative sources. This out of Amman, Jordan. Jordan and Turkey today signed a nuclear cooperation agreement, paving the way for closer ties between the two countries. I'm not going to go further. That's enough right there. Turkey and Jordan lining up together. We're seeing all Israel's neighbors, well, actually they're Israel's enemies, lining up to form coalitions against Israel. It's all right here. You can read about it. It's all right there. You got Psalm 83, you got Ezekiel 38:39. You've got so many things. You know, the Bible says that God will punish those who come against Jerusalem, who fight against Jerusalem. I would warn anyone whose thoughts are to fight against Jerusalem to think twice, because the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, said he'll punish everyone who does. And I guarantee you the whole world's going to see that. Okay, now, yesterday I told you about these Iranian warships going through the Suez Canal. Today we're getting conflicting reports. This story out of the Israel National News and Arutz Sheva says at last minute Iranian warships won't enter the Mediterranean. Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman warned against Iranian provocation yesterday, and today Egypt prevented the ships from entering the Suez Canal. Saying, let me see here. It was reported abruptly that Egyptian forces were not allowing the ships to pass. However, other reports stated that Iran turned the ships back on its own. Egyptian company that runs the Suez Canal says that Egypt's defense and foreign ministries must approve the passage of warships 2 days in advance, and that no request for the Iranian ships has yet been received. Okay, check this story out of the Debka file. 2 Iranian warships transit the Suez for Syria, tightening siege on Israel. 24 hours after Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak said the Egyptian upheaval had no military connotations for Israel, the Iranian frigate Alvand and cruiser Karg transited the Suez Canal on their way to Syria Wednesday night, February 16th. The passage was termed a provocation by Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman. So which is it? Did they go through or did they turn back? Conflicting reports here, okay? And note this. This is not mainstream media. This isn't CNN. This isn't Fox. This isn't ABC, CBS, NBC, the BBC. You know, this isn't mainstream news. This Debka file is usually a pretty reliable source, mostly. And Arutz Sheva also is quite reliable. So which is it? Did they turn around or did they go through? One story says they went through. One story says they turned around, went home. I don't know. If any of you guys know for sure, let me know. Seems a little strange. I don't see them turning around, really. That doesn't seem like an option to me. But hey, I'm just reporting the news. I'm not making it up. So seriously, if any of you guys hear anything else or confirming reports, please let me know. Here's something out of Yahoo. Anti-government protesters killed in Libyan clash. Out of Cairo. Told you that people in Libya were getting a little upset, thinking, hey, Egypt did it, Tunisia did it, let's give it a shot. Let's get Muammar Gaddafi out of here. You know, maybe if enough of these are successful, people in America might go, hey. This out of Cairo. Libyan protesters seeking to oust longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi defied a crackdown and took to the streets in 5 cities today on what activists have dubbed a day of rage, amid reports of at least 20 demonstrators have been killed in clashes with pro-government groups. Well, there's one way to shut them down. Just kill them. Hey, we want Gaddafi out of here. Oh, really? That's a good way to shut them up, right? That's not freedom, is it? Anyway, I'm not going to read that whole story. I just thought that was a little odd that protesters just being killed. And I read in Iran where another 8 protesters were killed in Iran also. So, boy, you go against the government, some places, they just shut your eye down, don't they? Okay, here's something odd. Okay, I pulled this out of CNN because this kind of thing is okay to come from CNN. A 3.8 earthquake strikes central Arkansas. Okay, you're probably like, 3.8, big deal. I've lived in California, 3.8. That's like an alarm clock, you know. Hello, oh, great, I'm awake. Oh, cool. Okay, that in itself is not a big story. U.S. Geological Survey reported this today. They said the quake was 4 miles deep, centered about 4 miles from this town of Greenbrier. Here's something else, though. Officials are investigating a series of over 500 quakes in under a month. They've had over 500 earthquakes in under a month. That's a lot of shaking of the ground. What's going on there? I think this whole world is about to unleash some fury upon mankind. Volcanoes, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, tidal waves. Where have I heard all this before? Oh yeah. People, open your eyes. Look what's going on. Alright, I just wanted to throw in some quotes from someone I consider to be a great American patriot and someone that I admired. He was actually a president. You may know him, Ronald Reagan. Here's some quotes that he is famous for. Socialism only works in 2 places: heaven, where they don't need it, and hell, where they already have it. Let me just remind you, Reagan was a devout Christian. He was a follower of Jesus Christ. He believed in God. He so fought against things that he thought went against the Bible. He fought against a national ID, saying that's the mark of the beast. He said, no way, we're not going to have it. I admired that man. I deeply respected him. Don't think I've respected a president since him. Yeah, not so much. Let's see. Let's hear some other things he said. The most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's great. The trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant, it's just that they know so much that isn't so. He also said, of the 4 wars in my lifetime, none came about because the U.S. was too strong. Beautiful point. Here's something he said that you have to wonder about. I have wondered at times about what the 10 Commandments would have looked like if Moses had run them through the U.S. Congress first. Let's see. Government is like a baby, an alimentary canal with a big appetite at one end and no sense of responsibility at the other. It has been said that politics is the second oldest profession. I have learned that it bears a striking resemblance to the first, of course that being prostitution. Let's see. Government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. Here's one of my favorites. If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under. Very well said. No truer words have ever been spoken. Reminds me of 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14. Anyway, I think this nation clearly needs to get back to the Bible and our walk with God, because you turn your back on God and things won't go so well. And we're seeing that happen in America right now. This once great nation is sliding slowly to the pits of hell. What are we going to do about it? Well, we can pray. We can ask God to pour His blessings back upon this country. Maybe let's get some leaders in leadership that know the truth and can lead us as God leads them. Because I don't believe God is leading this administration. Something my mom sent me I just want to read to you. It's a little joke. This guy says, my daughter just walked into the living room and said, Dad, cancel my allowance, rent out my room, throw all my clothes out of the window, take my TV, my stereo, my iPhone, and jewelry to the charity shop, sell my car, take my door key, and throw me out of the house. Well, she didn't actually put it like that. She said, Dad, this is my new boyfriend, Muhammad. Sorry. I just had to share that with you. My mom sends me some funny stuff sometimes. Okay. Talking about parables, in Luke 10:29, Jesus said, and who is my neighbor? Okay, I lead a group of 7th graders at church, and this was our topic a few weeks back. And, you know, when you say neighbor, kids tend to think their next door neighbor. Oh, the person that lives next door, that's their neighbor. That's not necessarily true. Who is my neighbor? That was the question posed to Jesus by a man who wanted to know what it takes to get to heaven. Now, initially, Jesus revealed that it all came down to a love-based relationship with God first and then with man. But this wasn't enough for this man. He wanted to know exactly who his neighbor was, as if salvation was a matter of following some sort of rule book, right? So Jesus wanted to get the point across that salvation is about mercy and grace, not abiding by a checklist of rigid definitions. So to do so, he shared the parable that we all know as the parable of the Good Samaritan. I'm sure you're all familiar with this. In Luke 10, verse 30 through 34, Jesus says, a certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. A certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. A priest, come on. A Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked, and passed by on the other side. A certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion, and took care of him. Now, you have to realize, too, a Samaritan was actually an enemy of the Jews at this time. He was his enemy. I mean, it would be like a Muslim stopping to help a Christian, okay? They don't really get along too well. They believe different things. The guy took care of him, took him to town, put him up in a hotel, gave the hotel keeper money, said, here, take care of him. When I come back through, if you need more, I'll give you more. Okay? First of all, priest, I mean, come on. And a priest stopped, and a priest have compassion? So after painting this contrasting portrait of indifference versus compassion, Jesus springs this question on the listener. In Luke 10, verse 36 through 37, he says, so which of these three do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among thieves? And he said, he who showed mercy on him. Then Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. So being neighborly isn't a matter of drawing a line of exclusion, okay? It's about inclusive mercy. Jesus' point is simply this. In God's kingdom, we're called to put away the rule book and allow the mercy that God has shown us to flow through us to as many people as possible. And sometimes it's very difficult. If somebody did something wrong to you, you're like carrying a grudge. You're like, oh, I'm not going to show him no mercy. Jesus, he taught us so many things that are such life lessons, and we need to follow these things and live the way Jesus has taught us to live. And I know it's hard sometimes. I'm a sinner. The best I will ever be in this life is a sinner saved by grace. But we need to show mercy and compassion on others. In closing today, I want to read Psalm 56 for you. Be merciful to me, O God, for man would swallow me up. Fighting all day, he oppresses me. My enemies would hound me all day. For there are many who fight against me, O Most High. Whenever I am afraid, I will trust in you. In God I will praise his word. In God I have put my trust. I will not fear. What can flesh do to me? All day they twist my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather together. They hide. They mark my steps. When they lie in wait for my life, shall they escape by iniquity? In anger cast down the peoples, O God. You number my wanderings. Put my tears into your bottle. Are they not in your book? When I cry out to you, then my enemies will turn back. This I know, because God is for me. God is for me. If God is for me, who can be against me? In God I will praise His word. In the Lord I will praise His word. In God I have put my trust. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Vows made to you are binding upon me, O God. I will render praises to you, for you have delivered my soul from death. Have you not kept my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the light of the living? I love you guys. Go out and be kind, compassionate, and merciful to somebody who really doesn't deserve it. Okay? That's your assignment today. God bless you. Good Lord willing, I'll see you again tomorrow.